So here's something interesting. Both male and female babies require the same nourishment from their mother. They spend the same amount of time in the womb, roughly 40 weeks from conception to birth, and can even cohabit the womb in the case of twins. They are born the same way and require the same nurturance, breastfeeding, being held, handled with care, etc., etc. The point being that both men and women begin life under the same essential biological conditions, and those conditions are in relation to the mother, i.e., to woman. Here is where things get interesting. Women share the biological identity of their motherly origin, but men do not. This results, I think, this is the basis of the theory, in sexually dimorphous existential crises independent of any brain chemistry or society. Women share both origin and identity with their mother. Their bond is therefore the most intimate possible, and thence comes the tension and highly intricate entanglement of their relationship. Daughters fear becoming mere clones of their mothers, and mothers can be unconsciously tempted to hold their daughters back from success as a kind of self-validation for their own failures. So daughters can be either pathologically rebellious, or they might self-sabotage rather than betray their older self, as it were, represented in the mother, which, of course, leads to resentment of the mother. The daughter's challenge is to become her mother without merely becoming her mother. Men originate in their mother, but they differ in identity from them. Thus, while the daughter has to maintain her unique identity while remaining near Mother Earth's bosom, the son is eventually forced to leave the mother's bosom, lest he risk an Oedipal relationship. He is thrust out of the Garden of Eden. He is cut off from the earth. The daughter's destiny is all too present before her. But the son is, from the beginning, lost and unsure who he is or where he ought to go. He was born to woman, but he is not himself a woman. So what on earth is he, and what is his proper relation to woman? Before moving on to the father's role, I need to make a particularly controversial point, probably. Though, knowing me, I will state it in the most non-controversial way I can, so you'll all be wondering what I mean by that. Anyway, according to this arrangement, the arrangement I've just laid out, it follows that the psychological distance from woman towards man is greater than that from man towards woman. This is simply because men, in the womb and at the breast, intimately experience the opposite sex, while women experience that of their own sex. In other words, the mother, and by extension woman, is the archetypal known, and also the origin, the source, the past. But man, and thus the father, is the archetypal unknown, the future, the goal, the purpose, the wilderness. Anyone who says that men are simple and easy to understand has never read any classical literature, much less watched a grown man sobbing confusedly in a therapy session. And anyone who says that women are an incomprehensible and unrelatable and inaccessible mystery forgets that every one of us spends 9 months inside that mystery, becoming intimately familiar with its bodily rhythms. Woman, as woman, is mysterious only to the degree that we struggle to remember her. But man, as man, is mysterious because neither men nor women spend time inside of man's body or suckling his breasts. Whatever primordial memories there are of the father are of a being in an outside world, a voice, an ear against the mother's belly, an external agent. Man is, at square one, an undiscovered country, the future. The father shows the son how to navigate the wilderness. He provides a beacon for the son to travel to once he has left his mother's Garden of Eden. Thus the very logic of the concept of a son produces a natural tension and resolution. The son moves from his unlike to his like, i.e., he departs from his mother and becomes his father. And he becomes his father by marrying a new mother, Furthermore, he ideally surpasses his father in greatness, improving upon his legacy and adding to his namesake's honor. Thus, as is so often the case, the worst and the best scenarios mirror each other. The male myth is Oedipus Rex. The great man surpasses his father and symbolically supplants him by becoming a father himself, marrying a mother. But the evil and resentful man refuses to compete with his father, and instead murders him, and marries his own mother rather than find a wife of his own. We can abstract this situation further by saying the wicked man kills his own future, his own ideals and hopes and dreams, and tries to crawl back into the womb of the past, which required no effort or moral character from him. What about daughters? While the son begins his story in a position of alienation, the daughter begins in a position of stagnation or suffocation. She is already familiar with what she is destined to become, but she fears and resents this destiny insofar as she is not a mere clone of her mother, but has her father within her too. The presence of a good father solidifies, stabilizes, and matures this element within her. The son ventures into the unknown in order to find himself, the father, but the daughter so ventures in order to escape herself, the mother, by means of a father figure. The archetypal son's story begins with alienation, then a journey into the unknown to either rescue, reconcile with, or defeat a father figure, and by this rite of passage obtain the hand of a new mother. The story ends with marriage and sex. It is acceptance by the new mother that proves he has won the day and completed the cycle. The daughter's archetypal story is different, beginning with identification. In a sense, she is trapped in the mother's womb long after her physical birth. Her full birth only comes through her encounter with the masculine, which is represented symbolically as a kidnapping by death, e.g. Persephone or Psyche. Death kills her young, naive self, and she is reborn as a new mother. Thus, her story begins where the son's story concluded. The male death provides her an escape from her mother, and thus from herself. She is willfully lost in her own shadow and the masculine wilderness, but eventually she realizes that she is yet incomplete, which is sometimes represented as the discovery of the man's vulnerability and mortality. She cannot rely entirely on him to protect her. She must grow up as a woman by reconciling with her mother, sometimes by slaying her, symbolically speaking. Sorry. Don't kill your mother. Please don't do that. As a result of this video, this is not an endorsement of that. Do I need to put a warning sticker or something? I don't know. The son fails to the extent that he refuses to face the father squarely and tries to symbolically re-enter the mother. The daughter fails to the extent that she refuses to face her mother squarely and remains in the dark, protective arms of the father figure. The archaic, symbolic feeling underlying male-female sexual relations is this: man needs woman in order to die, and woman needs man in order to be born. This, of course, is not how things should play out literally. I'm laying this out as something that should be overcome in a measure, not as a normative suggestion. I would hope that'd go without saying, but you know. The man's life should not end with marriage, nor should the woman's life begin with it. I think these are primitive tendencies which men and women have had to fight against without knowing what they actually are. Until, of course, I have come along with my video to to teach you all. But really, I think this is an interesting idea. As is usual for me, this theory is a series of intuitions and observations hung upon a highly, highly logical skeleton. I mean, logical in the sense of sort of structural. It's very, like quadrants. Behold my Cartesian quadrants that explain all. Specifically, it hangs upon the proposition that the facts of human pregnancy are somehow significant for our psychology of identity. I'm not good at concluding videos, but it's good to be back for a little bit. I don't know how many more of these I'll be able to make lately, but I was able to make this. I have some other scripts in the works, but I'd be curious what you all think of this theory. And oh, and one more thing, and I know this is the end of the video, but I'd put it here. Some of my inspiration, not necessarily directly, but somewhat indirectly, came from the In Pacifica channel. She is a friend of mine, and she made a video that was on sex in media, particularly like TV shows and stuff, and it is very interesting, I think, and it's worth taking a view. And you all can guess on her personality type in the comments below. I bet she'd be delighted by that, but I'll put a link in the description. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video.